California judge ordering an Oakland hospital to keep a teenager declared brain dead on life support for at least another week, pending the results of yet another. This would be a second independent examination. All of this after a 13-year-old Jahai McMath experienced complications following what was supposed to be a routine tonsillectomy earlier this month. Let's bring in our legal panel to talk about it. Keith Sullivan, criminal defense attorney, Anna Yum, former prosecutor. Anna, the court appointed a chief of neurology at Stanford to go yesterday and spend about 10 hours doing tests on this poor young victim. And we don't know the results. That will be revealed in court today. But under California law, that hospital does not technically have to get permission from the family to pull life support, do they?
That's absolutely correct. Under California law, and I know it's different in other states, but under California law, the doctors in the hospital are under no legal obligation to have to seek consent from the family in order to pull the plug, so to speak. I mean, my heart just goes out to this young girl and her family just in light of these circumstances. Yeah. And when you think about it, I mean, there's a difference between being brain dead and being in a coma or a vegetative state. In a coma or vegetative state, there's some sort of brain activity, whereas when you're declared brain dead, there's nothing, there's no brain activity. And my understanding is that the doctors conducted a series of tests to determine whether there was some sort of brain activity with this young girl. Right. I think the doctors are stuck in a very precarious situation, because how do you tell the family that after a routine surgery of taking her tonsils out that she's brain dead?
Keith, you handled
that fine balance.
Keith, you handled a nearly identical case just recently, a few years ago, here in New York City. So I want to get your expertise on this thing. In your judgment, do you think the hospital is being too precipitous?
Well, I'll tell you, Greg, it's Christmas time, and my case was right around this week as well. And what the hospital here is trying to do is give that family a present for Christmas in the form of a casket. And that family and that attorney is sending it back unwrapped, as they should. This is, in my opinion, immoral, unethical, and I'll go a step further. I think it's anti-Catholic. Legally, the hospital is probably going to prevail, but as the attorney involved in this type of a case, what that attorney in California is doing, and I give him kudos and the family for fighting this, is you're buying time. You're buying that family time to say goodbye to a loved one. Every hour is a precious hour you had a chance to spend with a loved one. We all know it's extremely difficult to lose a loved one, but to pull the plug on somebody like that, it's just tragic, and the hospital should not be doing it at this time of year, especially this quickly.
Let me go to our other second topic, because so far 3 class action lawsuits, and there will likely be more, have been filed against Target and a bunch of banks over the security breach, 40 million credit and debit cards, information essentially stolen. And Keith, let me begin with you on this. What is the legal standard to prove negligence on the part of Target in this?
Sure, Greg. What the courts are going to look at is whether or not Target used the latest and reasonable technology to ward off theft and hacking of its system. You know, Target itself is a crime victim here. That can't be lost in the storyline. And they essentially are under the threat of lawsuits from 2 individuals. The individual purchaser, the consumer, such as you or I with our credit cards, and also the banks, right? Because the banks now have to reissue new credit cards. That's into the millions and millions of dollars. It's $3 to $5 per card to be reissued.
Right.
And it's going to be millions of damages. In addition, Target was very slow in reporting this to the consumers as well as the banks, and as a result, the perpetrators, the thieves who purchased these cards on the black market, were able to run up millions and millions of dollars that the banks are going to be stuck trying to argue with their merchants over.
Right,
you
Greg,
know, Anna,
I was one of
the identity theft, because I had it happen to me. I mean, and it took me years to clear it up. I mean, they took out credit cards and checks and all kinds of stuff, and literally, I mean, I must have spent 1,000 hours trying to clear up my credit, and that's a lot of emotional distress. Does that factor into damages here if liability is found?
Absolutely. That's definitely an argument that could be made. Listen, when I prosecuted these types of cases, Greg, victims as yourself had to deal with so much distress. I mean, it's not just now, but it's about years in the future, about fixing your credit. And something as simple as applying for a car loan or for buying a mortgage, this could affect you for the rest of your life. It's not just the emotional distress, but it's the time and the effort in dealing with being victimized. And I'm one of those victims. I received notification that there was a flag on my account, and it's disheartening for me because as much as I love shopping at Target, as I like to call it, it's going to make me question whether I want to shop there anymore, because when I gave them my credit card, I entrusted them with a duty to take care of it, to make sure that my identity is not stolen. So it's definitely something that could be made, and that argument definitely could be made regarding damages.
All right. Gotta go. Keith Sullivan, Anna Yum, thank you both for being with us.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.